the beer crack on the snare, and then no one will notice.
Yo, can you make a full beat just straight up out of like
Yes.
our? I know the right answer is yes, but I'm trying to get you to make a beat that's just out of us like cracking open bottles or cans, or like you can weave in like your own belch as the bass if you want.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just beer drinking beat.
I might have to get like a keg or something involved to get like a kick drum.
Like a thump.
I need something bigger. Yeah.
A real thump.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we have everything
Add
we
like
need
a
to be able to
few,
make
like,
this happen.
Lighter flick hi-hats or something. Just for good
See,
measure.
now you're changing chemicals though. That'll work. Yeah.
You guys hear that?
I was about to start doing a Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's when's the last time you heard someone say the phrase Cotton Eye Joe?
Like a week and a half ago, actually.
Wow, I'm surprised you remember that to that level of specificity. I thought you were gonna be like, I don't fucking know.
There was a request was made for some jock jams while DJing the robot basketball thing a while back.
Let's clarify. Did they request jock jams or did they request specifically Cotton Eye Joe? Because that's a fucked up request for anyone to make.
Both.
Really?
At different points.
Really? Someone directly requested, could you please play Cotton Eye
Like,
Joe?
you got any jock jams? And I was like, well, first of all, that's not really what this is. But secondly, which song?
Yeah.
And
Also,
then
you're like, also I have the internet, so yes.
Right. I mean, it was supposed to, like, you know, copyright law and all that. You're not,
Well.
I guess you're not supposed to just like
Well,
play music for people because that's not the point, is to hear it and enjoy it. I don't
God
know.
forbid.
Laws.
Laws.
Capitalism. Get the fuck out of here. Says the guy who sells music for a living. How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right, man. You know, we complained about like almost dying in our winter for long enough. We might as well tell everybody that it's 67 and sunny and we fucking made it, bud.
Hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
I am. I'm just a piece of garbage that feels a little bit better about like the state
I'm a
of the
piece
universe.
of warm garbage now instead of frozen garbage.
Fucking A crowbar. No, I am, dude. I'm better. I'm better because of that fact.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent the whole day inside a dark studio.
Yeah, I spent the whole day inside of a semi-lit office, but
I work in a building that has no windows.
I didn't even go outside for lunch today. That's what a piece of garbage I am.
Same.
Just staring out my window like, one day
I got to work on the little buddy Lydia Liza's new record today, though. That was fun.
Young baby Lydia Liza.
Yeah.
Sick. I'm excited to hear that.
I got to play some synthesizers on it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a good time when y'all get to hear it.
Yeah. Go listen to Eric Mason's new record, too. Friend of the podcast.
You know who has another new record coming out this week?
Eric Mason.
Eric Mason. 2
new records from Eric Mason. If y'all been listening to us from way back when we still had guests, which, you know, some people really were like, those people were great, but most of you didn't listen to those episodes where we had guests, so we stopped having them. But
and no one has ever said, hey, you should have
more guests.
Well,
Yeah.
a couple of people have said specifically, like, I liked Sims. Where's he? Or like,
yeah.
You guys liked Sims and Lydia and Mason, and we'll have them back at some point.
Yeah,
because we also like them quite a bit.
Yes.
They're lovely people.
Not to say that we don't like the other people we had as
Well,
guests. Those are also friends of ours. Let's not
Sorta.
get out of here.
Nobody really likes Chance.
Shots fired.
He's like the most likable dude of all time.
He is for sure. No, mostly I'm good, man. Mostly I'm good. I had a thought in preparing this week's episode, which was that I should not be recording this podcast episode.
Why?
I should be sleeping instead.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because not sleeping.
I was like staying up late last night to prep for this.
And you're like, that's fucked up.
But also, like, you know, method acting, right? You gotta live this. We live this shit.
You got to do the cocaine so that you can play Pablo Escobar when
Exactly.
you need to.
No prop coke here on the What If Pod.
Yes, exclusively prop coke. We do not do drugs. Be good kids.
Not those ones, at least.
Yeah, for sure. No, but no, all I've thought about this entire time is how bad I am at sleeping and how bad I feel about talking about being bad at sleeping and how scary it is.
So Ryan and I apparently prepped slightly different sides of this topic coin this week.
I think there are 2 very important sides to talk about.
We're talking about what happens when you don't sleep, by the way.
What
I
happens
took
if you stop sleeping?
a more episodic approach to this topic. Like,
Yes.
what if you don't sleep for 36 or 48 or 72 or 120 hours?
Yes.
Ryan took, I guess, a more long-term view of the topic.
Not necessarily. I took it all in.
Sure.
I cast a wide net where I looked at like what it's like to go without sleep. And there are like very phenomenal stories around hallucinations and visions and fucking ghosts and fucking aliens and like
we got fucking ghosts. I'm gonna take the fucking alien and shove it in your face.
we got the fucking devil. Okay. No, but I mean, like, there's all those things that are, crazy and interesting and wild, but it's also fucking scary, bud.
I guess. So you are not a good sleeper?
Well,
as in you routinely do not sleep enough, or you have trouble sleeping?
the way that it has been told to me from outside sources is that I categorically burn the candle at both ends.
Just like across the board?
Across the board.
Yeah.
I stay out too late.
You also got some weird, like, health brain issues.
I mean,
you worry about health things.
Oh yeah, no.
That's what I didn't mean. Like your brain health is poor. I meant like.
Well, I mean,
you have some anxieties around your health.
Yes, I also thought you were saying the health of your brain is poor, and I was like, I mean, kind of, bro, but you don't got to put me on blast in front of fucking 50,000 people. That's
kind of poorly
sucks.
the first time.
No, I.
You have some general health related anxieties.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I'm not like a fucking full blown hypochondriac, but I definitely am like
you lean in that direction.
I lean in that direction.
Yeah.
I just, I think I'm at a point in my life where things are like just starting to go good. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. I hope the universe doesn't pull the rug out from under me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it will sooner or later. You
it definitely will.
You gotta enjoy the shit until you can't.
I just worked really hard to get it to go like pretty good. Like
but
really hard.
Nothing's going wrong, right?
No.
Yeah, then enjoy the good shit.
But every time I get sick, I'm like, oh, here it is.
His head fell off.
Yes, that's what I'm scared of. But generally speaking, I have been someone who, I work a job, like a normal 9-to-5 job. I work a podcast. I have like other side hustles and side pursuits. And I also am a fucking social person, and I like seeing people and doing things and going to shows.
Dad Dog's Ghost Blog.
So in the pursuit of absorbing as much life as I try to absorb and like executing the things that I try to execute, I do not sleep very often. I mean, I do sleep. I just don't sleep like as much as is recommended.
Sure.
Which is for what it's worth for the average adult, it's 7 to 9 hours every night. But we average as a society, well, I'm speaking specifically around American society in this one, but significantly less than that.
I trend more towards the high end of that 7 to 9.
Do you?
Yeah.
So
I've slept like 9-ish plus for most of my life.
Really?
Yeah, I don't function well without sleep.
So
I can't really do it.
So what's your routine? Like, do you have to? What's the way to phrase this? Do you have to intentionally make yourself sleep that much, or does your body and your
if I don't,
nature take care of it?
If I don't sleep well, even for one day, I feel pretty shitty the next day. Like I get headaches, and my focus and attention is shit, and I just can't really do it.
Yeah.
If I do it for multiple days, then like it's real bad, and I just can't. I don't function very well. So like I will. The only times I haven't really done that is like the last month and a half.
Okay.
Because I have a little idiot who wakes up constantly, and I've been getting up at like 6 o'clock every day.
So I was going to say, I do feel like I have a newfound appreciation for today's topic because of our Dog Dad's Ghost Blog, because I too have been not sleeping very well because I have a 6-month-old dog that sleeps in our room and sometimes jumps on the bed.
Well, see, it's not a dog training podcast, but get that little dude out of your bedroom, first of all.
That dudette is, she knows no other thing now. We fucking trained her poorly. She knows one thing.
Well, guess to undo it, bud.
I love that for what it's worth. I love that this is very much a ghosts, aliens, conspiracies, etc. podcast, and now people are straight up emailing us and sending us Instagram direct messages that are like, "Hey, yo, I got this dog trick right quick," and I'm like, "Yeah,
the podcast is what we make it, you know.
Yeah.
If we decide to slowly turn this into a dad dog ghost blog or a 6 months out of the year be an NBA podcast, I think we would also find an audience. And hopefully some of y'all would come along. Maybe we should do that. Just like every 6 months, drastically change the focus of this podcast. And some of you will ride it out. And then we'll constantly also be making new listeners.
I think what we should do is we should do a Tuesday, Thursday thing. And it's the same podcast. But the Tuesday podcast is the traditional What If Fair. And the Thursday podcast is like fucking off the goddamn rails.
And then we'll occasionally find intersections of all of the topics we're interested in. Like
we are the intersections, man. It all lives in us.
Clyde Drexler's house was haunted by a dog.
The Big Bang, man.
Literally speechless.
The Big Bang. The universe just exploded because of that sentence.
Guys, don't worry. That one is LaCroix. I'm being responsible and hydrating, not cracking my second beer 10 minutes into the podcast.
You guys, I just want to let you know.
Take my word for it, though. Let's see if this one makes better percussion.
I just want to let you guys know that Spencer's double fisting his liquor right now. This one sounds worse. He has 2 different flavors of beer, and
they're both canned rum from Australia. Fuck with me.
He's got one in his left hand and one in his right hand, and he's just going one, the other, one, the other, one, the other. Yep, that was actually 2 separate.
Oh god. Ooh, if you mix lime LaCroix and Fulton Lonely Blonde, it tastes like pineapple.
Well. We
figure that shit out.
We've got a new business model.
Let's talk about what happens if you don't sleep.
Have you ever? What's the most you've never slept?
48-ish.
You've got a full 48.
48 to slightly more than 48.
Really, you've got a full 2 days.
Yeah.
When was this?
High school-ish. Like 4 of us as a group decided to do it for fun and see if any weird shit happened.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We had like a long weekend and we just decided that we weren't going to sleep and we were going to all hang out together the whole time and just do shit.
So you came home on like Friday after school and you were like, we're not going to sleep until like
Monday off or something. And
Sunday night or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all made it somewhere between like 40 to 50.
Okay. And
nothing got too weird.
I was going to say, and what happened? Did anything get goofy? Did you guys keep each other accountable? Were you like waking each other up?
Yeah, so we were together the whole time. So we tried to just like be doing stuff the whole time.
So you were
and then
occupied.
B, like, if somebody was drifting off, wake them up.
Were you guys crushing Surge?
No.
Because a lot of the experiments we're going to talk about today, they don't allow for caffeine.
I'm sure we had some, but it wasn't like we did a little bit of research because we were idiots, but we were like also kind of smart idiots.
Yeah.
And so we did a little bit of planning and came to the conclusion that the caffeine spikes and peaks and valleys would be worse than just trying to ride it out straight. But yeah, nothing got too weird. Like I was definitely very out of it after 48 hours. Like I couldn't really pay attention to much of anything.
Yeah.
I felt now being older and like having some more experiences, it kind of felt like I was just really high.
Yeah.
No weird auditory or visual stuff.
Yep.
A little bit of like corner of the eye movement, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
what was that?
No like actual hallucinations or anything.
Yeah. You just get
and
that.
I slept for like 12 hours or something and was basically back to normal.
You get that nausea. You know that tired nausea? You ever get that?
I don't get that. I get headaches though if I'm tired.
I get tired nausea where like you just feel like you almost feel like you're going to throw up just from like how tired you are. That's when I get
that one.
The most I've ever really done though is probably like, well, maybe close to 40. I mean, 30, like 36. I'm trying to think like pulling an all-nighter, like a full like 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then not really going to bed until like midnight the next night.
I've done a few of those in my adult life.
Yeah. So I guess
36 to maybe.
I mean, I guess that's technically 41.
Maybe 40-ish.
At that point.
Yeah.
If you
I've done that a couple times.
Till midnight or whatever.
When I would have shows or really late sessions. And then I was still working a day job and I'd have to go in at 7.
and then you go home and eat dinner, and then you're like, well, I can't go to bed at like 5 p.m. because
Right.
then I'm going to wake up at
I'd make it
4 in the morning or something.
9 or 10 the next night.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the most I've ever done. And like, yeah, no, I've never had anything like crazy happen, but I think
I wouldn't do it intentionally now as an adult. Like that shit sucks.
so. One of the things,
And I feel like I have a below average tolerance for it also.
agree on both accounts. And one of the things that is, is crazy to me. So for what it's worth, some of the dangers of sleep deprivation, just to get there, are
Now, are you talking short term? Like how long can I stay awake for? Or are you saying if I sleep 4 hours a night for the next 5 years?
well, I can do either.
Okay.
There are different risks for both. The more short-term ones are, you get an increase in blood pressure in the short term. Your reaction time drops steadily. Your cognitive functioning just kind of across the board is reduced significantly over 1 to 2 to 3 nights of reduced or completely depleted sleep.
Everything that I could find though said essentially that is all temporary, and that as soon as you sleep and recover, you're back to normal.
Yes, for the most part, but the if you do that a lot,
right? I'm saying from a one-time situation.
Yeah. If you were to go sleep deprived for a week, you would experience everything that I just sort of communicate. You'd have a hard time recalling information, creating new memories, recalling old memories. There are a lot of
stats out there about like what level of sleep deprivation equals what approximate level of alcohol intoxication too.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I mean, who knows how accurate any of that is, and it would depend on a lot of other factors, I'm sure. But
I mean, I think like they can probably just run average blood alcohol level tests across the board for like driving conditions, and then run the same for.
But then, what is the actual metric? Like, is it reaction time, or like how are you measuring the cognitive function part of it?
It's probably, well, in my estimation, it's probably percentage of like speed to executing X. So whether that's like a physical thing or a recall thing or whatever.
It seems like there's some variables there too. I'm sure it's an approximation.
I think some. It's definitely, I think it's directionally accurate and certainly incorrect, but it's directionally like on point. But yeah, I think the crazy thing to me is that, even in the short term, it's like, it's not good for you. Like it's not not great. And in accumulation in multiple short terms, it's like potentially really bad for you.
I don't want to start with that. Let's start with all the fun things that happen in the short term.
I'm not going to. All I'm going to say is you can still find, to your point of being like, I probably wouldn't do this now as a grown adult. You can find a lot of people on YouTube who are like, hey man, I'm going to make a bad choice.
Well,
and they just fucking are like, I'm going to look into my computer and for like the next 100 hours and see if my shit gets real crazy.
I mean, how bad can it really be in the short term though? Like you're not going to, I came across a quote from a sleep doctor who they were talking about the negative effects of short-term sleep deprivation.
Sure.
And basically said, this is a quote from Dr. Stephen Feinsilver, director of the Center of Sleep and Medicine.
Strong name.
At Mount Sinai in New York. He said, can you die of sleep deprivation? Well, it's not easy because you'll fall asleep.
Yeah. No, they do say that. They say that you'll fall asleep first.
Your body will obviously intervene at some point unless stimulants are involved, in which case that's a totally different conversation.
Right. And those can be internal stimulants if you take an internal stimulant. It can also be, there can be outside forces that keep you awake.
Yeah.
Which, gets a little dicier.
So let's talk about the YouTube angle of this first.
Let's talk about the fun part of the bell curve where shit gets real interesting and like comical.
A woman from New Zealand named Jess Vlanderine. Yes.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Jess Vlanderine.
I might make fun of you, but I'm not going to argue with you.
There's lots of multiple vowels, and those always trip me up. I think it's Vlanderine. New Zealand woman who has experimented with how long she can stay awake for varying lengths of time, and for a while at least was documenting her experiences on YouTube.
Okay. She recording like the full thing.
What do you mean?
So part of what I saw was a lot of YouTubers who are like, okay, blah, blah, blah. I've been awake for, 14 hours. Pretty crazy. I'll check back in with you. And then it cut.
Oh, I see.
And then it's, oh boy, it's been 20. And I'm like,
what else are you going to do though? I'm not going to watch a 100-hour live stream.
I mean,
because then I'd also have to stay awake for 110 hours.
I mean, I'm not going to watch the whole live stream, but if you don't document the fact that you didn't fall asleep for that time, I don't trust content on the internet at all.
Well, sure. I mean, I don't know how seriously we're taking any YouTube content to begin with, though.
Facts.
Anyway, her videos have since been removed from YouTube, I believe, by her, and I'm not sure why. But I have some quotes from her about her experience.
Okay.
Vice ran a profile on her a couple of years ago, and she started to have some pretty complex visual hallucinations.
Ooh.
After about day 3.
Ooh.
She said, quote, some of the visuals reminded me of an ayahuasca experience. I don't know if she's speaking from experience or not. I felt I'd seen this colorful, complex universe in front of me, although I was awake. It was very surreal.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in a cartoon. People and objects become very comical, and I hallucinated a lot. Cars floated, shadows hung from trees, zombies ran at me in the street. I felt like I could control the clouds as they appeared to morph and mutate. And when I went to the supermarket, the items on the shelves appeared to follow me. The shelves also felt like they were leaning in and about to fall. Those don't sound like very fun hallucinations for the most part.
Not particularly, no.
Shelves falling on you, zombies running at you.
No. Also, if you're doing
floating cars, I guess that could be kind of cool.
Man, maybe.
Unless you're in one.
If you're doing an experiment around you are knowingly depriving yourself of sleep, it would not be in my 3 to 4 to 5 day plan to be like, I'm gonna fucking go to the store.
Well, you got to have supervision. You absolutely should not be doing any of this on your own.
No.
Yeah.
And you should also have rations. You should be queued up with your video games and your movies and your fucking sugar snacks.
If we found 2 people who wanted to supervise us, taking turns, and we were going to stay awake for as long as we can, you're not going to stay in your house the whole time. I'm going to be like, hey, drive us to the store. We need more snacks.
We need more snacks. No, you just pre-prep. You pre-prep the whole thing.
No. You're so much more likely to fall asleep, too, if you don't have stuff to be doing all the time.
That's true.
Going outside is very refreshing and can help you wake up. If I was sitting in my own house for more than 2 days, I'm absolutely sleeping.
I mean, yeah, if you're by yourself, for sure.
Even with other people, though. You're sitting on a couch, or you're like... You got to be active for some of it. You got to have new experiences. You got to move around.
That's true. I want to
hallucinate shit that's not just in my own house.
Yeah, you're trying to get your other stimuli.
I got to go control the clouds.
Yeah, your stimuli can
I picked
impact.
up superpowers. I got to use them.
That's hot. I can deal with that.
So she made 110 hours, which is what, 6-ish days?
What did you say?
110.
110
hours.
Well, no, less than that.
4.5.
4.5.
That's not very much.
Seems like a lot to me. I've done half of that at max.
What do you know about Randy Gardner?
I know Randy Gardner needed some stimulation to keep his ass awake
Randy
for
Gardner
fucking 11 days.
Beasted that number though and made it to 264 hours. And to your point, constant supervision.
Which is 11 days.
Yes.
He also did it under constant supervision, not just from like a buddy to be like, should I call 911? He did it from...
He had like doctors on deck, right?
A Stanford University researcher who was a medical like professional who went and like monitored the whole time. Not just to be like, oh shit, I should keep this dude safe, but to be like, hey dude, if you're going to do something fucking stupid, let me at least get some data out of it. Yeah.
Well, so I don't know what the standards were in 1965 when Randy Gardner did this, but I found out while researching this that it is now considered unethical to keep someone awake for research purposes for longer than 48 hours. So any sleep studies that are done now have a cap of 48 hours. And any of the information that we have about time periods longer than that are based on historical studies. It's like, I don't know, since sometime in the 80s or 90s, I think.
I think it also has something to do with the fact that historically sleep deprivation has been used as a form of torture.
Right.
And it got added to whatever the list of like human rights violations is. And I should know what the fuck that actually like is called. But it basically got deemed as like an inappropriate form of torture for what the fuck is the name of the thing that I'm trying to think of?
I do not know.
I'll find it.
NATO, Illuminati.
It's the Illuminati loves all forms of torture.
The Atlanteans.
They're psyched about it. Try to waterboard an Atlantean and see what happens. They'll just drink it and breathe it and they'll be fine.
Bigfoot Conference.
No, but I think that's probably got something to do with it. The fact that they understand that there are potentially longer term psychological and physical effects of ongoing sleep deprivation,
or short term effects that can be traumatic in the long term.
Right. Which then also is not a price that they're willing to have people pay.
So Randy Gardner's experience in 65 is one of the only times where someone has been awake for this long, and it's been documented in a like controlled environment by someone who knew what they were doing.
Yeah, who was like a Stanford researcher, like not just like let's take his picture, he's being weird.
Right. So Randy was 17 at the time, and I guess was aware of, or other people involved in this 11-day adventure were aware of other subjects who had spent 8 to 10 days consecutively awake.
Yeah.
And they were pretty confident that 11 wasn't going to like kill him or do lasting damage because none of those people had experienced any long-term negative effects.
Yeah.
But they all, of course, showed significant decline across the 8 to 10 day period.
Right. Did you see why Randy Gardner wanted to do it?
Well, I think he wanted to break the record at the time, right?
Yeah, but also he did it with two of his friends who he was in high school with so they could submit the results to the high school science fair.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. That's so much better than most shit you get in a high school science fair.
Hey guys, what are we going to do for our science project? I'm going to break the world record for being awake.
When's it due? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer. We got this. I'll catch you on the flippy dippy. Let's do it.
One interesting thing that came up in some of the stuff I was reading about Randy Gardner is that at some point it became difficult to determine when he was actually awake or not. And there's a line in this Scientific American article that I was reading about him that said, quote, "The more difficult answer revolved around the definition of awake. Randy Gardner was, quote, awake, but basically cognitively dysfunctional by the end of his ordeal."
Mm-hmm.
So saying like his brain had essentially shut off, but his eyes were open.
Yeah. So,
and they talk about something called microsleep, where for short periods of time, like 30 seconds to, or even less, your brain basically is functioning as if it's asleep.
Yes.
But you can appear to be awake or conscious.
Yeah.
So it became very difficult by the end of the 11 days to determine when he was awake or what they considered awake.
Yeah. There's also this interesting concept. It's called SSM. It stands for sleep state misperception. Did you come across this?
No.
The International Classification of Sleep Disorders it's essentially an organization that studies sleep and the disorders within sleep. And they've classified sleep state misperception as this idea that there are people who, in dramatic states of insomnia, including this Gardner experiment, they actually don't fully understand the difference between when they're awake and asleep. Once they get to a certain point, you slip in and out of dreams and your brain is trying so hard to get you into REM that you're having these mental experiences. Then you fly out of them back into awakeness, but you're so disoriented because your whole construct is no longer really real anymore that you have no way to actually tell which is why there are stories, which we can get to later, about some individuals who claim to have not slept. There are people who say, I didn't sleep for 45 years, which we know as a society is categorically impossible. You die if you don't sleep for 45 years. No one in any remote way has been able to prove that the human body can sustain not being like, these people are people who are like isolated individuals who say, I've just never slept. And everyone's like, cool. Sweet. Why don't you come sit in this room and prove it to us? And they're like, no, I'm good. I just don't sleep as a person. It's just not my thing.
Bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceit.
It's one of those things where I think what's far more common is a long-lasting version of sleep state misperception, which is people actually perceiving their dreams as a state of wakefulness.
That ever happened to you? I feel like I permanently have some amount of that going on.
I mean, I've definitely had dreams in my lifetime where I've been like, oh, that was like icky because it felt so real to me. But I've never had a transition of it where I've been like, no, was I awake or was I asleep when that happened?
I routinely will be just like going through my day and have to stop and think about whether I actually did something or if I did something.
Really?
Yeah.
How are you remembering your dreams with that level of clarity on a regular basis?
Sometimes I do. And maybe it's from like, I spent a long time actively trying to recall dreams and doing lucid dreaming shit, which like you're sort of intentionally breaking down that barrier.
Do you do that nightly?
What?
Like push yourself into lucid dreaming?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
I did for a few years.
I remember that.
You kind of have to like keep practicing, or I did at least, to like be able to do it. You have to keep up on it.
No, it's a skill you lose if you don't practice.
And so I don't do that anymore, but I do feel like I recall them when I do recall them like more vividly and with a different sense of reality to some of them. And part of the like one of the techniques for starting out lucid dreaming is to, in your dreams, be able to detect if you are indeed dreaming. And so you just do checks, right?
It's like Inception.
Yeah, exactly. And so like
check your top.
One of the checks is to, if there's a clock present or anything displaying the time, look at it, look away and look back, and the time will change in some way.
Yep.
Or to look at your own hands, because most often in a dream, if you look at your own hands for a while, they will either like, they will look weird. They will either be like transparent, or they will morph somehow, or they will not look like your actual hands look.
Or you'll even look down and not have hands. You'll not be like a body.
And part of training yourself to do this when you're dreaming is by frequently doing it while you're awake.
Right.
So throughout the day, if you see it, you check your phone to see what time it is, look away, look back, same time. Okay. If you're just like sitting at your desk, look at your hands for a second. Okay, those are my hands. Cool, I'm awake. And so your brain starts doing it sort of subconsciously.
So that you will do it when you're dreaming.
Exactly. It just becomes routine.
Yeah. I've heard another one is to knock on the doorway of a door every time you walk through a door.
See, that's one that makes you look nuts though.
Yeah.
You don't want to do those kinds of checks.
True. But like, I mean, I wouldn't like fucking do it every time and like stop at every.
Also, that's how you attract Bigfoot. Don't go just walking around knocking on wood. That's how you get squatches.
I mean, maybe that's.
This is not a squatch friendly home, Ryan. Don't get any ideas.
Maybe that's a desired outcome with your big ass. I'll live here now. Guys, what you didn't know is that I'm 6'5" and I weigh 205 pounds. And I've been shaving my whole body this whole time because I am a Bigfoot. No, but the reason that I've heard that one specifically is because you walk through so many doors, both in your dreams and in your wakefulness, that it's a more common one that you'll see happen is like entering a room or moving from place to place. So it'll trigger it more naturally than necessarily like, oh, is there a clock in the room? Can I look at? You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I don't know.
But now, like, we're always pretty close to something that displays the time. A phone or a computer or a,
for sure,
whatever, your car.
For sure.
But anyway, the whole idea of those is to sort of like, in some ways, break down that barrier between dreaming and being awake, or like be more aware of that distinction.
Yep.
And so sometimes I'll like, even something like the most recent one I can remember is, I was looking at my bank account because I thought a payment had already gone through.
Mm-hmm. And
I'd had a dream about a fucking like routine check clearing.
Yep.
I was like, that didn't happen yet.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
But for a second I was like, no, wait, that should be there. And
like, I dreamt it.
Yeah. I have boring ass dreams is what I'm getting at. I dream about my checking account.
Financially focused dreams. Your life's too exciting. You got to have boring dreams.
Even when I sleep.
Randy hustle real hard. Grr. Randy Gardner had a series of issues, including not understanding whether he was awake or asleep.
Yes.
Just to give you a slight run of kind of where he went. On day 2, the thing that he claimed mostly was fucking with him.
Day 2?
Day 2 was focus problems. So just having problems focusing on conversations. He did this experiment with the help of his classmates Bruce McAllister and Joe Maciano Jr., who freaking helped him out, you know.
That's the worst name I ever heard.
You help me, I help you. I'm Joe Maciano.
Okay. We get it. Keep going.
They helped him stay awake. They played basketball with him. They played games with him. They poked him when he was drifting off, whatever.
The last time I pulled an all-nighter, I fell asleep at my desk at work the next day.
Sick. That's tight. Who found you?
Me.
You found
Luckily,
yourself?
Yeah.
That's good.
It was my classroom at the end of the day, and I sat down, and I was like, I need a second before I do this paperwork. And then it was like 15 minutes later.
Like, hello. Between days 2 and 3, so we're looking at the 48 to 72 hour mark, he started to struggle recognizing objects, like being handed random objects and being told, like, what is this? He was having a hard time pulling the name of the thing he was holding.
Okay. What sort of objects? So things like very common things, like you hand him a banana?
Yeah, or like a stapler or like whatever, and you have to like pull the word for it.
Okay, so it was like a language issue, not a recognition issue?
It says he struggled.
He wasn't like confused as if he had never seen a stapler before. He couldn't remember the name for it?
It says he struggled to recognize them, but that's the way I read it, is like he wasn't able to like put names to them. It's not like, well, I've never seen this before.
You ever seen the things where like if you put a cucumber by a cat, they'll freak out?
Yeah, they think they're snakes. Did you know that?
Yeah. Was it like that, or could he not remember the word cucumber?
I think it was more like what the fuck is this thing? Like it's a fucking, what the fuck do you call it? Like
yeah,
I think it was
my
more
grandma
like
used
that.
to do that. Turns out she had dementia.
Well, that's
what can cause that?
Staying in your ass awake for too long. Yeah, I know. It's fucking.
Sorry, we weren't going to get there yet. Fun story still for another 15 minutes.
We don't want to get there at all. It's not fun. I mean, don't do this, but also don't do this for
Turn
reasons.
off our podcast and go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. None of us should be awake right now. We're all going to bed together. No, okay. So day 3, he reported symptoms of being moody and angry with his friends.
Yeah, no shit.
Irritability is
give me like 7 hours and I feel that way.
Irritability is for sure.
What's a stapler?
That's across
Fuck
the board.
you.
Yeah, you name it, dickhead. I don't give a fuck. There's also that said he had trouble repeating difficult statements like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Dude, I could sleep 10 hours for the next 10 years and I can't say that.
By the 4th day, he began to hallucinate.
We all been there.
Stating that he imagined himself to be a famous football player for the San Diego Chargers.
You know what? Wait. Okay, because my version says football player who won the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
Chargers can't play in the Rose Bowl. That's not how that works.
I don't know, dude. If you're not fully with it, you can.
I'm getting on this one.
You sure are. Like, you can definitely be a professional football player who is also playing in the Rose Bowl, no question, in a dream.
You know what? You're right.
Or a dream state, or a sleepless, fucked up,
Deckard state.
You're too Deckard, but So yeah, I mean, I don't have days 5 through 11. I think all those things pretty much just continue to go downhill at that point. But that was those are some of the big ones that Randy experienced in his fun time. What I would love to know is when he's reporting that he's a San Diego Chargers player, is he himself? Is he someone else? Is he identifying as a San Diego Chargers player that he connects with? Or is he like, I'm Randy and I play for the Chargers?
I'm imagining like a Quantum Leap situation.
Sure.
He just Scott Bakula'd his ass into the Chargers player body. It's a hell of a sentence.
In a moment, he's just looking through the face mask like, oh shit, I'm about to take a snap right now.
Yeah, where's the weird 1940s guy who's going to tell me cryptically what I have to do in this situation?
Yeah, he's going to whisper into my ear and I'm like, oh shit, it's a dog leg right, let's go. Pretty sure that was
is that a football play?
No, it was golf language.
Okay.
I got the Masters on the brain still.
I played football for like one day in 8th grade until I got hit in the head and I quit.
Yeah, I played like 4 games and I was like, this sucks bad.
That's the worst.
Yeah, I got jacked up too.
And then I actually started playing golf instead. Way better.
Fuck yeah.
No one can hit you in that game.
I mean, they can, but they're a dick. They're a dick.
Happy Gilmore. What a film.
Facts.
11 days. What?
It's too many days.
Can you imagine just having like 50% more time in your day, but also having nothing really to do?
I think it's
that's got to get so weird, even if you were rested, even without the physical effects. Because that's a weird thing to do.
That's what I was just about to say was like, I think the thing that makes it so, like it's what makes insomnia as a concept so horrifying is I think so many people proceed through their day-to-days with these hopes or desires or dreams of like, if I could just get accustomed to a little bit more sleep, I could pack more life into my days.
A little less, you mean?
What'd I say?
You said a little more sleep.
A little less sleep into my days. I could pack a little more life into my days.
Right.
And then...
See, man, I'm the opposite.
And then I'd be doing it. Then I'd be able to accomplish so much or so much faster.
I go at it like, if I could just sleep 10% more, I'd be 50% better at the shit I do during the day.
And I think that is probably what, I mean, from all of the research that exists out there, that should be the mindset. Like that, what you should be thinking about is the quality of your sleep makes the quality of your wakeful hours significantly more. It's like the, there's, you know, I've seen it in New Zealand and Australia and some European countries. They're talking about, reducing the workday down to 4 and 6 hours in corporate environments because they actually find they're getting more better productive work out of people.
By that much? You'd have to be
by a quarter.
100. Well, no, if you're going from 8 hours to 4, you'd have to be 100% more efficient to make that up.
There are arguments that you just can't possibly prioritize properly and work at like peak performance for a consecutive 8 hours. So if they were to cut that by 20% or 25% or 40%, you might potentially be able to run at peak for that period of time and get all of the things that you would get done in that period of time without costing that business all of the meeting hours and turning the lights on and all that fucking bullshit that you're doing. And I think there's
bullshit like turning the lights on,
like, you
work
know,
in the dark,
the shit you got to do. But there's an argument that sleep is actually really similar, that if you deprive yourself of sleep, your waking hours are just significantly less efficient.
Absolutely.
They're significantly less enjoyable. Like, it's almost like you think you're squeezing more life out of sleeping less, but in fact,
hell no,
you're sleeping less and getting less life out of it because of how much it actually negatively impacts your daily. I mean, and
anytime I do that shit, my primary thought throughout the day is, when do I get to sleep?
Yeah.
Like, even just, I've shifted for a long time. I got up super early because I worked at a school that I had to be there at 7 o'clock every day, and it was far away from my house, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was getting up at like 5:30 every day. And going back to like, now I've been waking up at like 6 or so for the last month and a half.
Yeah.
And like, even that, I have more time, especially in the mornings. I don't do shit with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like not really here.
Yeah, because you're tired as fuck as soon as you wake up.
And I've been trying to find even just like types of work that I can do in that state. Like, can I do non-creative things at that time of the day?
Sure.
You know, can I like organize shit that I need to, or can I like respond to emails at that time of the day?
Right.
But like my brain is definitely not at full capacity. And I think there's got to be something to like sleep cycles or like, maybe not cycles, but like sleep rhythms, or the whole idea of being either a night person or a morning person.
Oh, there's science to back that up.
Because
sure.
I feel like no matter what time I go to bed, if I wake up at 6, I am tired.
Yeah.
Even if I went to bed at 9 o'clock the night before.
Sure.
If I wake up at 6, my brain is not working right at 6.
Sure.
Versus if I got the same amount of sleep, but it started and ended 3 hours later.
One of the things that they recommend for the good quality, to have a good quality of sleep is, it goes back to our circadian rhythms, but it's
That's the word I couldn't think of.
It's the regularity of your sleep, your brain, because essentially, So one of the things, I don't know. Do you have any like hard stories you want to talk about? Because I have some other stuff I want to like potentially get to. I'm
at the point where I have some like not fun versions of sleep deprivation. So
that sounds dicey.
I'm totally fine not getting to them.
All right, well, let's get to them if we need to.
Basically, there's a disease that makes you not sleep until you die, and it appears to be genetic, and there are like families who have it.
I'd like nothing less than to talk about that right now. Okay, so let's not
you see
do
this
that.
really ominous headline I got up right now?
That's oh Jesus balls. This headline literally reads, "A family curse, first insomnia, then death."
Yep.
Jesus Christ, fuck the news forever.
Well, yes. Also, I mean, that is what happened to them. It's a factual headline, if not a little dramatic.
But hey, you know what we're here for? None of that. None of that. There's enough of that in the goddamn universe.
You, sir, speak facts.
One of the things that I went down the rabbit hole of is a gentleman by the name of Matthew Walker.
Okay.
Who is very sweet and very smart and very British. And
you love the Brits so much.
I just
think they're all just the nicest. You know, they're total assholes who live over there, right?
No, he's adorable.
I'm not
How
saying
dare you say that?
No, I'm not saying he is. You know that they exist, though, right?
Oh, you're saying there are. I thought you said they are total assholes that live there. No. What the fuck are you talking about? They're great.
You talk as if every British person is like a saint.
I paint with a broad brush.
Fair.
About people in Scotland and the United Kingdom as a whole.
Okay.
I love them. I think they're all very cute and adorable and kind.
It feels
and
a little bit condescending every time you do it, but
no,
I know you mean well.
I don't mean it condescendingly at all. I mean like if like watch one interview with Matthew Walker and you'd be like, "Oh my God, will you be like my dad or like my brother? Like you're the sweetest person."
All right. Anyway, what's he know about sleep?
He's charming. I think that's what it is.
There we go.
They're very charming. That's what I mean when I say like they're like sweet and like adorable. It's like it's very charming. Matthew Walker is he's a British scientist and a professor of neuroscience and psychology at UC Berkeley.
Okay.
And he wrote this really fascinating book called Why We Sleep, the new science
UC
of sleep
Berkeley's
and
in
dreams.
the United States, right?
I do.
Okay.
He's not from here. He lives and works here.
Got it.
And I only got to read like one chapter of Why We Sleep, but I watched a bunch of his interviews and read a bunch of articles about him, so I got more context around the book. But I'm super excited to finish it because he's extremely fascinating. But one of the things he gets asked about a lot as someone who, let me just dispel some of this dude's credits right now. He was previously a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He's the founder and director of the Center for Human Sleep Science. He's received awards from the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health. And he's published over 100 different scientific research studies related to sleep. So the motherfucker knows what he's talking about when it comes to sleep.
Okay.
And one of the things he gets asked about a lot is about how chronically sleep deprived we are as a society, which his whole book of Why We Sleep is largely about. It's about being like, hey, nature told us we should sleep about 8 hours or 7 to 9, more roughly.
Depending on the season, perhaps.
And because of the incandescent light bulb and screens and the...
Dude, light pollution is a motherfucker.
Yeah, and the capitalist, like, Americanized work schedule, we have said, like, yeah, well, fuck nature, and we're going to just try to push back against that as hard as possible.
Just so I'm on the record, City of Minneapolis and or Hennepin County, suck my whole dick for these LED streetlights.
They're the fucking worst. They're so bad. We used to have these like beautiful, nostalgic orange glow streetlights, and now they're these hot, bright, white lights.
3 inches from my bedroom window.
Oh, they're awful. I've thought about being like, hey, could I just get a paintball gun and roam around Southside and just pop each one of these and be like, yeah, you can
Please
replace
start
that.
on my street.
You can replace that light bulb as often as you feel like, but I'm going to make sure that they keep breaking every time.
The worst. Anyway. You're probably like killing some raccoons or something too, because now it's just never dark outside.
Yeah, seriously. Anyway, long story short, he's got a lot of really brilliant and interesting things to say. He's literally been studying sleep for like over 20 years. So he's well versed in the topic. And one of the things he talks about, to get back to your point about I feel tired when I wake up at 6 every day, or whenever I wake up at 6, is so much of what makes for good sleep is rhythm, because your rhythm, your circadian rhythm, is dictated by... Okay, so we know about melatonin, right? Melatonin starts...
Nope. Don't assume I know things.
Okay, melatonin...
Never a safe assumption.
Melatonin is essentially, it's an enzyme, it's a drug that your body naturally produces, and it's our body's response to darkness, actually. So that's why you're supposed to sleep in a dark room, because darkness starts to trigger your body's creation of melatonin, which is the thing that lulls you into sleep and helps you get into a REM state where your body then paralyzes itself to be able to stay asleep and do its reparative efforts while you're unconscious.
Okay.
So melatonin comes in when you start to do dark things. That's why they say to you, if you're like recommending good sleep to somebody, it's like, okay, you should put your phone down at least a couple hours before bed. You should try to actually
Which no one does.
You stop watching TV. Don't try to send that last work email. You know, we all
Things
hear
that
that.
none of us do.
None of us do, but it's like, it's the thing that gets recommended, right, by every doctor and every sleep scientist. That's what you should stop doing. And the reason is, it's because melatonin, your levels start to increase when darkness starts to increase. It's your body's response to darkness saying, oh, okay, I get it. It's dark now. I should be starting to move my ass towards being unconscious. That's why a lot of people, if you're holding your fucking Instagram account glaring into your eyeballs from 6 inches away until the moment that you put your phone down and try to go to sleep, you're not actually going to have a good time going to sleep, because your body's melatonin production levels haven't even started yet, because they don't understand that they're supposed to be doing that. So if you do that earlier, your melatonin starts to increase, and then by the time you actually go to put your head on the pillow, you're like, oh, I'm pretty tired right now, I'm going to go to bed. That's when you go to bed, you lull yourself into REM, and then you get a full night of restorative sleep. So if you're changing the time that you wake up and go to sleep regularly, your body gets out of whack. It can't just start producing melatonin at like, oh, tonight it's at 6 p.m. Tomorrow it's at 12 a.m. Like it can't do that in a herky-jerky kind of way. So your best sleep is created by what time that melatonin peak starts in your life. And if you can create enough of a rhythm to have it come in at the same time every night, then that 6 a.m. period won't actually hurt that bad. So if you were to, for example, go, all right, I know I have to wake up at 6 a.m., so I'm going to start going to sleep at 8 p.m., and I'm going to turn off my devices by 5 p.m., which I know is completely unreasonable and untenable. But if you were to do that, you might find over time that your body adjusts to that, and that it doesn't hurt as bad to wake up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But
I'm just going to sleep until 9 instead.
Exactly. And that's what most people do. It's fascinating,
because I'm recording a podcast at 8 p.m.
So
looking at 2 computers.
There is 2 lights, 3 lights, and 4 screens going in this room right now.
Yeah.
So there's no way. Matthew Walker is also very interesting because in his book, not only does he make recommendations about what you should do when it comes to like how to sleep better, he also makes some connections about like the dangers of not sleeping for long periods of time. If you take Randy Gardner's experiment and you cut it back by 50%, say you're only sleeping like 4 to 6 hours a night, and you extend that over a lifetime, there's some like really bad stuff that happens.
Yeah,
and
don't do that.
I'm not gonna go down that road, but I am gonna say
it's linked to all kinds of like pretty serious health problems.
Alzheimer's, dementia, inflammation, cancers, all kinds of those things are connected to this chronic lack of sleep that we're getting as a society.
Your body and your brain needs time to fix itself.
And that's really what it is. You know, we didn't fully get there, but part of what happens is sleep is your brain's cleaning of essentially when your cells in your brain are working, which they're doing every time you're conscious. They expel waste material. Your cells to function, they are using materials and creating waste materials. And so that happens heavily in your brain because there's so much cellular activity happening in your brain to just make you fucking walk around and be a person every day.
Right.
And so sleep's process is the restorative process of essentially scraping and cleaning and killing those dead cells and getting them out of your brain so that you can wake up the next day and be a human being. And if accumulations of those happen over time and over time and over time and over time, they can lead to a whole bunch of like gnarly, nasty health stuff.
Go to sleep, ho.
Go to sleep.
Anything else you need to hit?
That's pretty much it for me. Read Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep. I think it's dope. And it can be fun for
After reading one chapter?
I mean,
what if the other chapters are super fucked up?
That's true. But everything
what
else.
What if you recommend like this horrible book to people?
Come punch my face if I did. But most of their stuff was really good. Or most of the stuff I've read about him and seen in his interviews is really good. Hey, thanks, guys. It's the What If Podcast. Hi at whatifpodcast.com is our email address. 612-246-4614 is our voicemail if you want to leave us one. Shop.whatifpodcast.com. You can get a shout out on the show there.
And we will see you next week.
We love y'all. Bye-bye. White dress!